presidential election of that day, from all available evidence, was free and fair. MK Abiola of the Social Democratic Party got 58.5% of the popular vote and had a majority in 20 out of 30 states and Abuja. He even beat his opponent, Alhaji Bashir Tofa, of the National Republican Party, NRC, in Kano, his home state. The country was eagerly awaiting the official announcement of the winner of that election. What it got instead was annulment of that election, which was a clear violation of the electoral law. It hurt the feelings of a lot of people. So thousands of Nigerians poured to the streets in protest. That was not the first major protest in Nigeria, but the magnitude of these particular one and its duration were different. What forms did those protests take? What was the nature and character of the military regime that triggered the raging anger in Nigerians and friends of democracy around the world? How was the crisis eventually resolved? The answers to these questions and many more that will be raised here constitute the first leg of this symposium, which Abdul, whom I'm asking to come and join me here on stage, give him a round of applause. And Babafemi Ojudu, engaged. The two of them participated fully in that epic struggle. They suffered detentions without trial. They nearly lost their lives. Using instances from their books, adventures of a guerrilla journalist, and demonstration of Craze, but not limited to these books, they will share with us their near-death experiences of those tyrannical days. After more than 2 decades of practicing investigative and critical journalism and robustly fight if there is a need for it. So we went out to reject every attempt to keep us down, every attempt to shut us up, just like the young officer in that notorious video. You know, at every point, they wanted to shut us, musicians and everyone, you know, urged us on. It was not about money. It was not about profit. It was that a moment has come that challenged us, and we rose to that moment. And when I look back to that moment now, and I see what is happening today, I feel very bad that we didn't have a successor generation that could have continued, even at the time when the risk was not as much as the one we went through. Today, what we have is a regurgitative kind of journalism.
covertly coming out to say he was going to proceed himself after Babangida had resigned. We didn't know how to proceed. People like Ojo were in prison. Everybody was in prison. The whole, everywhere looked so gloomy. Then I was in my office one day. There was the 1 million man march for Abacha in Abuja. And Ayo 2 million man march for Abacha in Abuja. I said, okay, well, we didn't know what to do. We just got to office one day. Then I saw Ayo. The place was like this. Look now. You me. I said, Madam President, yeah, good for the what is good for the money. I said, well, cannot just be here and then look at what have you been doing since? Then as I was looking through the window, I saw this guy. He's coming straight to the door. He came in, said, yes, what's happening? I said, what is happening? Ayo is saying that we should do something. I now went to Chima, called Chima, said, look, what can we do? Chima, you know, the way he reflected briefly, he said, if we can ban yes, he said we can reply Abacha. If we cannot pull 5 million people out of Lagos to challenge Abacha, then we should apologize to the Nigerian people that we have misled them. I said, can we do it? He said, yes, we can do it. So we started now talking about the logistics. So we brought some money. We went to the guy to bring some money. How much do we have there? I said, we have so in our account. Blah, blah. Before you knew it, the plan started. So Chima and Innocent and Ogaga, all of them went out to man Guerilla. We had our meeting. In the heat of that, we didn't even remember to contact people like Beck or Gani was abroad. You know? So we now fixed a day. And before you knew it, Punch carried Punch was very combative, still combative. See, UAD calls Nigerians out, blah, blah, blah. And then we were now thinking of how to do it. So we mobilized, we reached out the market women, the Igbo traders, everybody. By 12 o'clock, you must shut your shop. We are moving to Yaba. And I lived in Nogba then. I came out of my house. As I was about to go, my neighbor, her husband was a his wife, the husband was a commissioner in Oyo, commissioner for finance and things. And he told my wife, this thing is going to be bad. Tell your husband not to. My wife said, I can't stop him from going now. He has already told Nigerians to come out. And if he wants me to go with her, like I will go with him if he wants me to go with him. Yeah. So as I was about to enter my car, I saw my driver coming, run me, actually. You see, Oga, I said, where are you coming? In the car back home. I said, well, okay, let's go. Then we took off. Yeah, we took off. We got to Ojudu. We entered from there. And then as we were marching, we were holding hands. We said, we are in front. All the so they will do that. They will not want to. Then with a broke rank, he said, this thing is a peaceful process. I'm going to tell them, it must be peaceful. So I and I were to see a photograph where we were raising high. So I come back. That was yeah. So they grabbed him. They beat him. They were firing pistols in the air. They surrounded him. And the Yaba students and Unilag students were trying to rescue him and fight back. And eventually they put Olisa in the boot of the car and drove him out. But that saved his life. Because later when Sergeant Rogers was arrested and he was being interrogated, he told Femi Falana that their mission was to kill Olisa Bako. They were asked to kill him. So they were searching for him. They couldn't find him. They now got to know that he was arrested when he appeared before a magistrate court on bail. So we didn't plan anything. We just reacted. We are humans. That is what happens. Spontaneously. That is what happens.
Thank you. And by the way, Shima Ubani, who suggested that something should be done, immediately, is late now. He eventually died in the course of another struggle. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Babafemi, can you share with us 2 of your detention experiences? I know you had many, but 2, so that we don't waste too much time talking about.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was in a solitary confinement, and at a point, I had a very bad insomnia. What I did at that point was then I had a huge beard and afro hairstyle. I had to pick on my beard at Intercenter. You know, it was a cell left by Obasanjo at that time. But as soon as I got there, they withdrew the mattress they gave to Obasanjo, and I had to now sleep on the bare floor. So I'll pull on my beard, and I'll put them on the floor. I will separate the gray from the black, and I will count the gray here, count the black one, bring them together again, and then, continue with that same process, just to keep my, mental acuity in order. But it appears that from one agency to the other, and I think it was in the course of doing so that she was picked up and then kept away. So it was gruesome, the kind of thing that you see. But the other one which I would like to share is even their mode of interrogation. It always abuses, insults. Who are you? Do you think you are? And this is your godfather with very bushy hair, dirty looking, Shoyinka, all kinds of insults. You Yoruba people, you are too arrogant, full of yourself. I'm not here because of Yoruba people. You arrested me. Let me know exactly the crime I've committed. No, it's Yoruba people that are causing problems. And they never even try to even take information from you. It's all about anger. Sakari Bill with. I was in and he was out. And he went and met my wife and convinced my wife that I was going to smuggle my wife to come and see me in the middle of the night at Intercenter. And crazy woman today, she agreed. And they came in without even notifying me that, and as soon as they got in that night, the supervisor of that facility.
That the British people are modern, the British telling their notes. It was later I was reflecting on this. And then she didn't return. So the next day, Becker was arrested. The third day, Tuji and Bayomi. And they came to my office. The one guy came, he said the director of the said we should bring a copy of Behind the Wall, one of the CLO publications. Yeah. So I said, this book we don't have copies anymore. So I went to my house when I was coming to work the next day. I brought a copy. I go to the Shaggy, sir. The director was not there, so I dropped a copy. I went away. I saw Tunde Abayomi. He said, I'm the one I'm doing here. I said, I came to drop a copy with the secretary of the director. He said they wanted something about prison. I don't understand. I said, okay. And I said, what are you doing? He said he had just finished a press conference. They invited him. So that is why he was there. I said, okay. So I went away. Then the next day, I went to drop my office. My wife is Ikoyi. As I was coming back, they were waiting for me in the office. And when immediately they surrounded me, they were firing pistols in the head. Because there were some students in my office. Ogaga and others were challenging them to be killed. I said, I don't want anybody shot. I don't want anybody killed. So they dragged me into the car. As they were driving away, I threw my car key to Ogaga and said, yeah, you make sure you pick my wife in the evening when she's closed. Ogaga followed us. So it's Shaggy. As they were driving here, he drove in too. He said, why are you here? He said I'm his lawyer. I want to know why he's been here. He was virtually crying when she saw me. Greeting me very well. Then later I told her I want to leave the country, so I changed my clothes. The guy brought out a lot of money. Doing what they were owing me and added more. Then I bought a ticket for Air France to Washington, D.C. We boarded the plane nicely. A few minutes later, we landed again. I said, what is going on? I discovered we landed in Lagos. They wanted to pick more passengers. And all these people in black suit and all were coming and looking around. And so I carried a copy of French Le Monde. I was reading it. I pretended to be reading it. I covered my face. So my head was aching and I had to keep rubbing. After some time, the plane took off. When it took off, I had a voice that told me, he said, Abdul, you don't speak French, you can put down the newspaper now. You won't believe it, the whole plane, it's like everybody knew me. You know, I was just there, it's like everybody knew me, they started laughing and all, and then we took off. And then we go to Paris, Washington, D.C. Then I moved in with Babafemi, Ojudu, Bayo Nonoga, Damsi, Oroh,
Oh, yeah.
And one guy who, a relation of first aid.
Yeah.
What was that his name? He has the female name. So we're now staying together.
And there's another of our neighbor there.
Yeah.
Ose. Oyabeda.
Oyabeda, where is he? Yeah, it's not there.
Yeah. He was,
where is Ose?
He was president.
You cover your face now.
He was President Tinubu's tenant.
The last time I heard of him, he was in California, maybe making films, movies.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we were all there together, and I remember was always coming to pick me up. And then later we go around. You know, that is how it happened. And one day, I just told the people in the book that I wanted to meet with them stories. Okay. So they arranged for me.
Society.
Yeah, so they arranged for me to go to New York. So I got to New York. I met just I was going to enter his office. This Liberian lady secretary called me and said, look, my brother, you know the Liberian accent. Yes. Please tell him to establish a West African office. The only open society office now is in South Africa. Because it was established one in West Africa. You know, I said, okay, thank you very much. So I went inside, I greeted him, like you know the way we greet in Nigeria. The man was not even looking at my face. The first person is highest General Obasanjo. I said, well, he has been sentenced to life in prison. You don't know what is going to happen. And he said, back on some coating. I said, yeah, it's also in prison. The man didn't say much. So I said, say hi, Nigeria General. And I now explained everything. Then I now ended it by asking him to establish an open society in West Africa. I said, okay. Then a few minutes later, somebody came to me. We would say I should see Arianaya. Arianaya was the head of Open Society Foundation. In another block, we went to another block. And we asked about the person again about Benko and everybody on this side, everybody. Because the guy used to know everybody in Nigeria. You know, then as I was going, he gave me a check for $30,000. Said that is for your upkeep. You know, in the United States. But they wrote CNO on it, so I could check cash it. Because when I got to Washington, I found it from CNO. Okay. Then a few days later, I was again in the Open Society office. Then my wife called me in the evening. They say Abacha has died. I said, no, it's like good stop one. He said, no, people are rejoicing in the state of. I said, is it on an NTA? He said, no, not NTA. Nobody listens to NTA anymore. It's Open Society. People are rejoicing in the street of Lagos. So I go. Then the this now came to me. I showed him a wire report about it. So I came to Craze. He said, okay, you were not there with us. No. You were in field. So by then I could now smell, from there I could smell the airport in Lagos. I said, in the next 1 week I'm going home. I could smell the airport. I could smell my environment. Yeah, my mind was no longer in the US. I was telling myself that after about a month or two, maybe I'll ask for asylum. Since I've been asked to leave me, go, you know, without even telling me to go, they said that they arranged for me to leave Nigeria. So I have to just ask them to let me stay here for some time. They eventually came back, Bacha died, and that was it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Abdul. Still on exile and people in exile. Femi, you are in London, right? And you and your friend, Bola Ahmed Tinubu,
My leader.
He wasn't your leader, then he was your friend, collaborated to report a Shaguri story. Can you describe the drama of that reporting and the immediate repercussions of the report?
Yes, thank you very much. I traveled to America, and on my return, I stopped over in London. I put a call through to Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and I'm in town, and I would love to see him. He was on exile. I wasn't on exile. And he said, it's even good that you are in town. Please come over, come over. And I went to see him. He said, I just got an appointment with a Jewish lawyer in London. He seems to have quite some information on Abacha. And wherever you say there is news, I'm always excited to be there. So I went to see him. We called a taxi. We went to the office of the Jewish lawyer. And we sat in front of him. And he kept revealing out information of how Abacha was stealing money, how he was buying property in Paris, how he was saving money in Switzerland, his agents, those who are. And that was at the point when he mentioned the Shaguris. And I was agitated. I couldn't write. I had no recorder. And the information was getting too much for my brain to retain. At the point, Asiwaju requested for the gents. He left and went in, came back. The guy again went on and on about all the information available to him. So it ended, and we went back on the street, hailed a taxi, and while we were inside the taxi, I said, this will be good for my magazine. But unfortunately, I couldn't write anything down. I said, as soon as we get home, whatever it is you can remember, I will take it down, whatever I can remember, and I think that will be sufficient. He said, Kidney, anything will record. How did you record him? He said, that time I went to the toilet. It was to change the cassette to side 2. And when you had me flushing the toilet, that was at the point when I was changing the cassette from side 1 to side 2. There was no excitement like that. And I also began plotting. Now I was going to steal the cassette from him. So we got home, he ordered food, we ate, and he slept off on the couch. And I reached to where I kept the cassette. I stole it. And I woke him up. I said, I'll be leaving now. I said, okay, make sure you jam the door. I'm really feeling sleepy. I left. So he called me later. That was in London. In London. He called me later in the night. Femi, I couldn't find that cassette. I said, which one? He said, the one I told you in the car that I recorded, secretly recorded. I said, well, the cassette is with me. I've already changed my flight. I'm flying back to Nigeria tonight. To do what? I said, this is a great story that I can't wait to publish. He said, if you publish that, you are dead. I said, well, I'm willing to die for that story. So I returned. I got to the office. I reported to my colleagues that I have an Oroh story. And, they listened to the cassettes. We called our reporters, the ones on business desk, to go and check out a few things. And that was how we ran the story on Shaguri. 3 days, the story was well received. I got calls from embassies, United States Embassy, UK, French Embassy. Everybody wanted to know if we have more. And 3 days after the story came out, I got a call from Chief Olowu. Chief Olowu was chairman of mainland local government then. No, before then, he was chairman, very popular chairman of mainland local government. His house is on the left. If you are coming from Ikeja area, before Oyibo, you see the house on the left. So I went there. He looked at me. He said, and you're a young man, no? I said, what is that? Death is hovering all around you. He said, death? Okay, what is the problem? He said, okay, let us move to the garden. He didn't know whether they would have bugged his there. He said he got a call from General Dia. And Dia asked him to get in touch with me that Abacha has dispatched some soldiers to go and get me down. And that in the next 24 hours, they may do that. Nadia said each time he goes to Abacha's office, he will hold the magazine and say, this boy must die. This boy must die. He has called me the thief, all kinds of things. So my leg could barely hold me at that point. And I said, thank you, sir. What do I do now? He said, whatever it is, run. Run, oh. Very jovial man, you know. And I went back home. I told my wife that this is my circumstance. And I then picked the nylon bag, put a brush and toothpaste, and a few things that I would need that night. I left my car. I then took a bus ride to Ota. From Ota, took a motorcycle ride to a village close to the border. And that place, that night, I got a bike that took me to Cotonou. So I slept at the park. I couldn't go to any hotel because not quite long before that, one guy who published Razor magazine, Fayemi Wo, was kidnapped from his hotel in Cotonou, injected with tranquilizer, and kept in the boot of a car, and he was driven to Nigeria and taken to DMI. So I said, I will stay on this bench and watch what will happen to me till morning. So in the morning, I took a cab, went to Accra, Ghana. And from Accra, Ghana, I fled again, this time not to even America. I went to Kenya. That was how but again, unfortunate for me, I got to Kenya. I'd had the invitation to come and attend a meeting of World Meeting of Editors. And I just saw the opportunity to run out. And that was how I then decided to go to Kenya. I was to stay in Accra, but I just, as a guerrilla, yes. Then somebody go in and do the printing processes in an uncompleted building somewhere and all of that. You know, after listening to me, and I went back to my hotel room that day, 3 representatives of Freedom Run came to me and said, with all you have discussed and with the development back home, that same day, Ovie Whiskey, the managing editor of Tell, was arrested, and the news was everywhere. I said, please don't go back. And I told them I had to go back. Kunle was in jail, Bayo was on exile, Sheye had left, and Dakwa was on exile. His wife was in detention with a little boy, and it was only I that was left to conduct editorial work with our general manager, Idowu Obasa, who manages the printing processes, the marketing and administration and all of that. So I told them I'll be going back home. And I got up the following morning, you know, flew back to Ghana. By the time I got to Ghana, the Ghana Union of Journalists, JUJ, a delegation of Ghana Union of Journalists had waited for me, including 2 Nigerians who were on exile, Bumi Aborishade and Dele Ajaja. They were publishers of June 12 magazine before they were detained, released, and they fled Nigeria for Ghana. In fact, later, Rawlings traded them with Abacha. Yeah, Abacha promised to give Ghana crude oil, you know, for a period of time if they would release the 2 boys. So they were in the process of effecting their release when Americans took them in and then secretly got them out of the country to go to live for America. So they came to me in the hotel to say that, look, you are not safe. And I said, no. Whatever it's going to take, I must go back to Nigeria. If I do not go back, all of the things we are doing, we simply collapse. You know, that we coordinate the editors and the reporters and all of that. Idowu Obasa wasn't a journalist and all. So I got to Ghana and I deceived them that, okay, maybe I'll wait it out for just 1 week. But the following morning, 5 a.m., I hired a cab to take me to Aflao, and from Aflao to Cotonou, and then find my way back to Nigeria. So from Ghana, from Accra to Aflao, midway, the vehicle broke down, and it took some hours on the road before I could get another vehicle to take me to Aflao. I got to Aflao, I took another cab. Again, midway, the tank started leaking fuel. We stopped, brought out the tank, you know, welded the tank, and then by the time I got to By the time I got to Cotonou, it was late. And with what has happened in Kenya and the report the ambassador there the embassy will have given to Nigeria, I feared going into that place in the night to go through the bush part and on a motorcycle. They could easily have waited for me there and disposed of me. I then decided to take a chance. I joined a vehicle going to Seme border. You know, when you are in the border, there is the official route and the back route. Or the official route, you present your passport. The back route, you just present 500 naira. So I then decided to go through that part, the unofficial one. Of course, I had already dressed down from Accra so that I won't be recognized. So as I was handing over the 500 naira, somebody pulled my clothes from the back. Welcome, Mr. Ojudu. At that point, I had nothing to say than to, I just smiled. And he dragged me into one room. And he took me to a room. I met two young ladies. They were these cross-border ladies who do not actually fire. I think they were, well, you know, sex work or whatever. So then the person who arrested me went out with his walkie-talkie, and I could hear him, you know, talking to the bosses that yes, we captured him. And that was November 17, the anniversary of Abacha's, you know, coming to power. So it was a gift on that day to Abacha. So I quickly slid my card, community card, in the hand of those ladies that I've been arrested. I'm a journalist. Please, they should call my office, you know, as soon as they are freed from that. So they then came for me, put me in a vehicle, and drove me viciously towards Badagry. Before we got to Badagry, they veered off the road to the bush. At that point, I have to, you know, be fast with my weight. So they took me to a story building, kept me there, and then I could see that they were nervous. And frantically, they were also making calls and probably trying to confirm what they should do with me or not. So I then beckoned on them, and I said, don't do anything funny. When you arrested me, there were two ladies. You know, I've given them my card, and I've told them they should inform the public that you arrested me. I said, beyond that, there was one of my staff who entered through the normal road and saw that I was arrested. On saying that, they gave me a heavy slap, gave me the beating of my life. You know, I think I must have frustrated something that night by that statement I made. So they now got angry, they brought me down again, put me in a vehicle, and drove furiously to Lagos. How I got to Lagos, I just went asleep. I have not had a meal all day. I was tired. I slept from Badagry until we got to Shangisha, and they opened the gate. I was driven in, and they kept me in a room and got one Paul, a young man, to watch over me. Incidentally, again, that Paul has been working with Ashiwaju now, as you know, when he was governor, and even as president, he's still in the villa. You know, that Paul said, Oga, I know you. That Kolon Yomi, your colleague, is my cousin. So don't be afraid. As soon as I'm off duty by morning, I will go to the office, I'll go home, and then I'll get in touch with your people so that the world will know that you have been arrested. So in the morning, he left, and then I was then taken that morning, driven to Ikoyi, Awolowo Road, still cameramen and all that. It was like they've caught a terrorist, actually. You know, well, again, guerrilla. Yeah, so, and the kind of question, as I said earlier on, it was, you know, 60% about Soyinka. You know, were you with Soyinka in Burkina Faso? Were you with him in Congo? I said, I've never. I last saw Soyinka when he was a lecturer in Ife. I never, no, you guys what, when? I said, no, that is not true. Then the interesting thing, they now saw an address book with me and a telephone number, which I wrote Adon, you know, Adon Bat. That was my code name for Tinubu at that time. It's Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So, Adon in Yoruba, Adon Bat is. So who is this Adon? I said, no, it's not Adon, it's Adon, an Ekiti name. It's my uncle. So it was a battle of wits and abuses, insults, and all of that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Femi, thank you. Abdul, we're moving to the second leg of the symposium now. You are now insiders.
Yes.
Outsiders to insiders. So you are a member of the House of Representatives when President Olusegun Obasanjo desperately wanted a third term in office. You have described the details in your memoirs, demonstration of Craze. How did you and others scuttle that ambition?
Thank you very much. When I got to the house, we had a group called Democracy and Good Governance Forum. The chairman was Professor Dr. Usman Bugaje, and I was his vice chairman. Our job was to ensure that in the house there was transparency in all the dealings, committee chairmanship. Those of us who were new members were. Bugaje was our candidate actually for speaker, but we did not win. Masari won, was Obasanjo's candidate. And then we now formed a group in the house, more like a pressure group. So when this issue came up, we were all meeting regularly. Then I went to Rockview Hotel one night to debate and to discuss what to do. At that time, I was already under enormous pressure to speak out. Because on the day of when the bill was presented, the idea was, we had not even seen the details, whether to debate a bill to amend the Constitution. We voted yes to amend the Constitution. Then Punch carried the front page. Oroh and others endorsed. So I was under pressure to speak out, but we were having meetings. Eventually, on this day at Rockview, we met and we planned how to scuttle it. Immediately we finished the meeting and I was driving to my house. It was now around 1 a.m. I got a call from Julius Ihonvere. He was working with Obasanjo then, that I should come and see him. I told Julius I couldn't come at 1 a.m. I wanted to get to my house. I will see him in the morning. He said, okay. So I went home, switched off my phone. Then early in the morning, immediately I switched off my phone, he was calling me again that Chief Akhaine wants to see us. Myself and Engineer Momo, who is now the Minister of Regional Development. So we went to see Chief Akhaine. And then they said, why are you not supporting this thing? I heard that in Oroh you want to give a press conference. You said you were going to give a press conference tomorrow morning. If you dare, you will not give that press conference. I said, sir, I can't sleep well at night. People are attacking me from left side. I should explain myself. He said, do you know how they are? He said, one man even called me in Yoruba and told me, he greeted him nicely, the president started cursing him. That if you want to be a leader, people must curse you, people must abuse you. Anyway, the president wants to see us. The president wants to see us. He said, yes, this evening. So myself and Momo and I went to the villa. That day, this Kenyan politician he was there. Kwet Masire, president of Botswana, was there, and some other people from NDI from the US to monitor the event, monitor the country and all that. And then I remember Mutala Nyako was also there with one other politician from Jibril Aminu. They were all there. So after the meeting, they now ushered into, after meeting with those people, they now ushered us into one room. Then he said, what is the why are you June 12th? That is when Obasanjo says there was no June 12th. He didn't believe in it. Don't tell me. I said, Mr. President, you don't have the numbers. And besides, if we amend the Constitution, because we had already done various regional public hearing. I was in the south of Port Harcourt. You will not get it. He said, what if I'm removed from it? I was trying to analyze that. If you are removed from it, now said, even if you are removed from it, you are not going to get it. So he got up. I said, okay. He was going to show us on the door. So we now said, what of Julius now? You are supposed to support him for governorship. He said, Julius has never told me he's interested in governorship. I said, okay. But I know, he said, but anyway, you guys go and see Chief Aneni. He has huge ego. Go and massage his ego. Then whatever he says, I will support. Meanwhile, he was also dribbling Aneni because he had Osumbo as candidate, and then he had Odio Ogbesi as candidate. So when we go to the chambers the next morning, the Senate had already rejected it. And then Austin Obara, who was the deputy speaker, now moved a motion in the House of Rep withdrawing the bill. So it was never debated again. We didn't vote on it. And that is how it ended. And then later, I got a call from Chinelo Nworah. My wife used to work in his office in Lagos. So we are more like family friends. I got a call from Chinelo Nworah. He said, Abdul, I am the one who called Chief Adeli to tell you that he must not give that press conference tomorrow. I said, why would you do that? I didn't ask you to do that. He said, because I didn't like what they were planning for you. I said, who were these people? He said, let's leave it at that. So if you read my book, I added a chapter there. So, well, we are here, thank God.
Yeah.
But, you know, how did I get into politics? You know, after the Abacha death, we didn't participate. I was one of those who started the Transition Monitoring Group. When our president was there. And then we monitored the 1999 election. Then my father died in 2000. So we took his body home. When I go home, I totally realized how things have changed in my community. You know, and there was pressure on me. We think we should run. That our House of Rep member, Bessie Alembe, was Speaker. Bendesi House was empty way back. He's our House of Rep member. And the man was in his 80s. He couldn't hear. And it's going to come to our local government. They were putting pressure on me. I said, no, I'm not interested. I don't have the resources. So I went back to Lagos. But I realized when I got to Lagos, that was all I was thinking about. They had sown a seed in my mind. So I now told her, this is what I want to do. Okay, fine. And then I resigned from CNO and went to this thing. On the day of our primaries, the first shock I got, that is the same party. 4 people were killed. 4 students of Auchi Polytechnic were killed. They cut them to pieces, set them on fire at Samokida Ora. If you see the shooting that day, you won't believe it. Shooting. And I didn't even have a penknife to defend myself. So I thought some of the people came with me, 2 ex-soldiers from my community. They said, enter the camp. So they took me home. Then, but I realized that 2 weeks later, they didn't announce our results. Then one day, the chairman of Central Nigeria Limited, Alhaji Nuburu, is late now, said his driver to call me. And the driver came to call me. I go to his house and say, Oroh, you are a journalist. Something like this is happening. What happened? You just kept quiet. Why can't you talk? Besides, in that way, I heard that you wrote something in the past against Obasanjo. They say you are abusing Obasanjo. I said, me? I can't remember. Where have I abused Obasanjo in the past? I've said so many things, but not recently. I said, okay. Then tomorrow morning, we are going to Benin for a meeting. So when we go home, my boy said, look, we are leaving tonight. So we drove to Benin. We left around 10 p.m. You can't try that now. You will not make it. So we go to Benin. Then we drove to a friend of ours place at those days house was the only quarters. And then we stayed there. Early in the morning, I just prayed and my PA was watching the car. And I heard the radio that the parties, the result of the primary election in one federal constituency will be announced today. I thought because the guy had declared himself winner. He declared himself the winner. So I said, okay. So we went to government house where we were asked to come. Then I met my opponent. His name was Abdul, Johnson Abdul. He was a local government chairman from Omwa West. And they refused to allow him to return. So he now entered the race for House of Rep. And he was an earnest candidate. So when we got there, they said they were now, I saw an Legben that I was to replace, who had endorsed me, quarreling with the chairman of Omwa West, one Chief Obaibo. So they told two of us to leave, to stay in another we went there, and they brought us, after a few minutes, they brought us in, they asked the party chairman to announce the result. Me, I didn't even write the petition. It was Benson Legben, the old lawyer, the old speaker, the old politician, who wrote a petition that they didn't allow him to vote. And what the talks did and all that, and the person was responsible. So when Chief Guerilla, the party chairman, was going to announce the result, they cancelled the result of Omwa West and now use the result of Omwa East to declare me winner as candidate.
And the rest is history.
And then they didn't just accept defeat. So Chief Anedi now said that I was writing something against the president. They said you were abusing the president. I said, I can't remember. Then Abulaba brought out a piece of paper and gave it to Chief Anedi. He removed the surface, cleaned it, put it back. It took you almost an hour to read it. You know, in CLO we published a book called State Repression and Resistance to Niger Delta. It was written by Ibiba and Don Pedro. I only wrote the preface. Where I talked about Aneni, of course, and the massacre. After that, he said, you know, that is not true. Everything you wrote here is not true. That there was no massacre. I told you, I said, well, this thing happened 2 years ago, so I accept responsibility. Before I could speak, one police officer, retired officer, Oroh, did you write this or not? I said, yes, I accept. I didn't write it, but I accept responsibility for it. But meanwhile, this despicable liar who brought it, I was angry. I couldn't care what happened. I autographed a copy of this book I gave him 2 years ago when we started this campaign. Now he's using it against me. When I said, and I said, besides, when Obasanjo was sworn in, we, the pro-democracy people, I met him. We had a meeting with him. I was at a meeting where we wanted to see how we can work with you to sustain democracy. He said, and then he said, you had such a meeting? I said, yes, sir. He said, how come I'm not aware of it? I said, call the ADC to the president. The ADC to the president was the one who arranged the meeting. Then the ADC now, I thought it was not, he just picked his Turaya phone. He called government house. Solo, how are you? How is the family? Blah, blah, blah. And then he said, you know, he was not calling me Chief Abdul. He said, yes, I know him. He's my friend. He's a good person. Was there any meeting like this? Blah, blah, blah. Confirmed.
Yeah, Abdul.
He now said,
Abdul.
See how they arrange power.
Yeah.
Because Waziri was talking about it, and now you're challenging about the visible and invisible.
Yeah.
But not the silent people that hold the levers of power.
Mm.
He says, Chief Abolagba, Chief Oroh is the candidate of the party. You are going to be his campaign manager.
Yeah.
That's how it happened.
Details you can read
In my book.
in his book. But to both of you, you are okay now. That the problem with journalists, you know, it's they talk too much.
And they arrest them for talking too much.
Finally, to both of you. No, I mean, you have interesting passages in your book on Fela. You know, it's the 5th week now of Afrobeat Rebellion, the amazing exhibition on Fela going on at the headquarters of EcoBank. So, tell me in brief, just your Fela story.
Yeah, but it's quite quite very interesting. I'd been a patron of the shrine from my university days. I'd also been part of groups that invited Fela to come to Ife when we were students to come and perform. In the afternoon, he will give us lectures about Egyptology and whatever, and the traditional medicine and all of those things. You know, so I've been that close to him. And when I left school, came to Lagos, of course, every weekend and Wednesdays I'll go to the shrine. We had a place for we the VIPs, and we had a lot of inhaling of Igbo in those days. But on this occasion, Beko, Gani, Falana, Baba Mojola, and the student union leader then with dreadlock, Mayegun were arrested for treason. They were taken to Abuja. So information got to us that they were going to be arraigned on a particular date. And I went to inform Fela that they are going to be arraigned. Fela said he would love to go to Abuja. So they sent his boys out to go and look for a Pujo 504 station wagon to take us to Abuja. So I joined him and his wife and a photographer and a personal assistant to Femi Photo. It's late now. So while we were on our trip to Abuja, Fela requested for cake, and he offered me some to eat. I kept munching on the cake. At the point, I asked Fela, what is this cake called? Because he said it's what is it called now? He mentioned the name of it, and I said, this is the first time I'm hearing of this. And I kept eating. We got to Abuja, and you know, as soon as we arrived, this case was struck out. And it didn't even enter into the court. Magistrate Court, Gogolada. He was on the floor at the premises, because at that time he had a chronic case of a pile or hemorrhoid, you know. So from there again, we turned back to return to Lagos. And I kept eating the cake. So by the time we arrived in Lagos at about 12 midnight, I no longer could see anything. So I had to be taken to the hospital. And guess where? Beko's Hospital in Mushin, at the heart of Mushin, Olosha. So that was where I was. Dr. Balogun, may God rest his soul, gave me drip. So the following day, Beko came visiting and asked me what was the problem. I said I could not fathom what did you eat? I said I didn't eat anything except Fela's cake. You ate Fela's cake? Igbo loje. That was when I knew that Fela bakes his cake, you know, with Indian hemp soaked with water, and then he will use the water. The other one, please, just one. Okay. It has to do with when he was 50. And myself and Oya Legbe was a deputy editor. I was assistant editor. We both sat with him in the house all day on his 50th birthday. And something happened. When we interviewed him, Fela got emotional at a point. He said, I fought all these years, and look at all the marks on my back, beatings here and there, my bum and everything. He said, yet these problems refuse to go away. Will I now begin to fight another generation? That was Fela for you. He became so reflective on that day. And he was just 50. And at that time, I saw him as a very old man. Now I'm going to 65. And the problem is still very much with us. Yeah. So which generation am I going to be fighting again? Thank you.
Yeah. Abdul, make it brief. The ship whip is already...
I wasn't very close to Fela until when he was at the Exchange Control Anti-Sabotage Tribunal, when he brought some money in and they were trying him, and eventually he was jailed 5 years. And then at the time he was released, I was in Benin. And Nuluka Elabo called me that Fela will be released today. He was in Benin prison. So all these Fela's people, they jam-packed in my office, and then we went to the gate of Benin prison. And then he was released at 5 a.m. When Fela saw me, all of us, he was so happy. So this 50th anniversary party, the Olu, the photographer, the African Guardian photographer, he's now a professor in the US. We now went to interview him, and I did a cover story on him for that 50th anniversary. And those pictures, he mentioned them again.
Yeah.
He said that from his mother's skin, between his father's whip and all the one from the police, and he must have taken about 1,000 whips in his body. And he also gave me cake. But this time it was bought from Sheraton. And there was one guy from France who was there. We were all eating it together, and they gave us beer, and we all drinking. He didn't drink, but I didn't feel like you did, because sometimes when I sneak into shrine, I must confess, I behave like what people shrine was do. So I didn't have to go to the hospital. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Femi.
In my book, I used the Fela's music, because it's part of the Fela's music that a teacher don't teach me nonsense.
Nonsense.
And I realized the military were trying to teach us democracy. And the way the colonial masters tried to teach us democracy. I said, so teacher, don't teach me nonsense. That is where I picked the title from. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And demonstration of Craze is also an echo of Fela anyway. Babafemi Ojudu, thank you so much. You know, you are presenting yourself as an old man, a 65-year-old man.
I'm older than him now.
Precisely, 67. I'm 67.
65 in August.
Look at this Aburo. Thank you so much for your contribution, and Abdul. Please,
Sorry, just a second. We didn't have time. I would have loved to tell you about my experience in the Senate. And why I chose not to go back.
Don't forget that.
Your book is there.
No. It's not in my book. No, I'm not going into it. I'm not going into it. I'm just saying my experience in the Senate and my experience as special advisor. If I tell you what I witnessed, it will what the situation that Waziri described will have been another statement. And I do not think any of us should be hopeful about solution to our problems soon. I keep telling my own children that if something do not give, if there isn't a rupture, Nigeria will remain the way it is for the next 200 years. So I'm working on a sequel to Adventures of a Guerilla Journalist. Yeah. I'm coming up with my adventures in politics, where all of this will be stated. Thank you.
So, thank you. German and Nicolako. Yeah.
I'm very sorry. This is the problem you have. When you have three of your bosses, my editors on stage, I didn't even know how to come and grab the mic. I'm usually very rude with microphone, but
it's a sheep whip.
Sheep whip. I'm so sorry. There are people waiting online to join the next session.
Oh yeah.
And the more we continue here, well, we've lost about 3 of them already.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. We will not even have time for that photo that was taken. But if the chairman can quickly step out, we can.
Now
we can quickly just take this photo, and then because we have to go to the next session. We're taking 5 minutes so that people can refresh and stretch their legs. Because we also have to do something. Huh? Please, let's quickly take the photo. Nat. Oh yeah, bring your. Please, let's just take.